I was told to write a speech about the class. I was then told that my first two speeches were unacceptable. This is my third attempt at a speech. My previous two were, in a word, hilarious, but tactless and insulting. As this graduation ceremony is the springboard to college or a job, I decided to give a speech to keep you on the right track. I used statistics and data from the book Freakonomics by Stephen Levitt to dissuade you from heading down the path of crack dealing, which is a surprisingly low-paying job. In the name of decency, I can't even talk about my other speech. But I realize now why I even wrote those speeches. 4 years ago, I was fortunate enough to be elected president of this Scarsdale High School class of 2005. And I was fortunate enough to be re-elected every year since. I watched the steady decline of interest in class activities. Freshman year, we had 200 people at our dance. This year, due to dwindling dance attendance, we resorted to having pizza and a dodgeball game. 30 people showed up. And I'd certainly say that at least half of those 30 were not from our class. Our first cabinet meeting freshman year, a meeting that takes place at 7:30 in the morning, something like 45 people showed up. I recall we even considered moving into a larger room. We didn't have any cabinet meetings this year. Last year, we government officers, totaling 9, consistently outnumbered the cabinet. By the end of the year, we only had 2 cabinet members. The only recreational events that had good turnouts were Junior Olympics and our 2 breakfasts this year. Our senior class play, the definitive display of class pride and achievement, only had 50 participants from our grade, out of 287. I think I know why so much that we did as a class government ended in poor attendance and discouragement. We shall now switch scenes. Cisalpine Gaul, 49 BCE. Julius Caesar, governor of Gaul, had decided to march his armies from modern-day France to seize Rome, essentially destroying the Republic. As Plutarch wrote, when Caesar came to the river called the Rubicon, which forms the frontier between Cisalpine Gaul and the rest of Italy, he became full of thought. For now he was drawing nearer and nearer to the dreadful step, and his mind wavered as he considered what a tremendous venture it was upon which he was engaged, irresolute between the 2 alternatives. He thought of the sufferings which his crossing of the river would bring upon mankind, and he imagined the fame of the story of it which they would leave to posterity. Finally, in a sort of passion, as though he were casting calculation aside and abandoning himself to whatever lay in store for him, he said, "Let the die be cast, alea jacta est," and with these words hurried to cross the river. On the most base level, I know why Julius Caesar threw caution to the wind, why he betrayed his republic, for better or for worse. Boldness. Julius Caesar was never complacent. Julius Caesar saw an opportunity and seized it. Now, I'm not advising you to invade Italy. Sure, they make a killer senior options project, but they already denied me. It's my one joke, folks. Most certainly an unchecked egotism motivated Caesar to move against Rome, but he contemplated and thought. He thought of what it would mean to turn back, the act of a man with better sense, but worse nerve. He thought of what it would mean to cross, to become one of the greatest villains of all history, the man who single-handedly destroyed the vestiges of an admittedly corrupt and dysfunctional government that was nevertheless a free republic. Whether or not he made the right choice, he was bold. And for that he will always be remembered. And for that, he changed the world. Like Caesar, every day members of this very class stood on the Rubicon, trading Caesar's egotism for class spirit, straddling complacency and boldness. Unfortunately, many shied away from the frontier, the prospect of change. Members of the class of 2005 backed away from new activities, whether it be the cabinet or any other club or event, because many of you were afraid of establishing yourself. I was afraid of drama. I had never acted before, but I enlisted into the senior class play, and I was one of the few, the happy few, to join. Because you were scared to be the only one of your friends to join a club or go to a meeting. Because apathy and self-satisfaction is the cool thing to do. Because any deviation from a preordained track to college is viewed as weird or rebellious. I'm the first to admit the many faults of student government, but the ardent stalwarts in this grade who refuse to take initiative, to join the play or go to a dance, to enjoy themselves with classmates, have contributed to the lack of character in this grade. We're a fractured group. We lack any true personalities, individuals willing to engage in unpopular activities. We slip into disparate groups instead of an amalgamation of individuals. So why did I write those 2 speeches? I had a message. Graduation speeches are silly and for the most part filled with useless advice and nauseating self-satisfaction. And my own attempt to be bold and give those two speeches was met by the strong adversaries that are taste and decency. Namely, my advisor's insistence that I would be physically removed from the stage should I cross that river, which was a lesson unto itself, boldness tempered with tact. When we all go off to college, I urge you to be bold, to have, in the words of the late Hunter S. Thompson, a mixture of ignorance and a loose, what the hell kind of confidence that comes on a man when the wind picks up and he begins to move in a hard straight line toward the horizon. I urge you to take charge, to be the first, to throw caution to the wind, to let the dice fall where they may. Pursue your interests, even if they are not those of your friends. Turn their heads, invite them to follow you, to march on Rome and be great. Don't become just a face in the crowd. Take the initiative. Be bold. I leave you with the immortal words of Goethe. There is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that otherwise would not have occurred. Whatever you do, or dream to do, begin it. Boldness had genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Thank you, Joe. I think. No, seriously.